Hello friends, today we have on our show one of Canada's leading communication strategist and creative mind. With more than 30 years of experience in telling a brand story, she has worked with industries as diverse as consumer packaged goods, food and beverage, real estate, health and beauty, financial services and professional services. Let's welcome Julie Rusciolelli, President and founder of Maverick Public Relations, Inc. Hi Julie, welcome to Bay Street Diary.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. To start with, let our audience know more about Julie and Maverick Public Relations, Inc.
Sure. Well, my name is Julie Rusciolelli, and I've been in public relations now 30 years.
Wow.
So I'm celebrating my 30th anniversary doing public relations.
Okay.
I've done all of this serving clients on the agency side. So I've never worked in PR on the corporate side or the government side or not-for-profit.
Okay.
It's all been on the agency side. I founded Maverick 20 years ago, actually in May of 1999. So this is our 20th anniversary.
Wow.
With my own shop. And Maverick works on all kinds of great clients. We've worked with hundreds of brands and thousands of clients, launching products, experiential work, working for government, building advocacy programs. So from soup to nuts, we've done a lot.
Wow, that's commendable.
Thank you.
So you call yourself an accidental entrepreneur. What's the story behind this?
Yeah, I really am an accidental entrepreneur. I think a lot of people are born with the entrepreneurial gene. We just have to tap into it.
Yeah.
And I tapped into mine much later in life. So I didn't really start out in the world thinking I would own my own thing and put my name on the door. But about 20 years ago, I had an inflection point, and something happened in my life, very personal, that really affected my journey. And I tapped into the gene, and I started Maverick, and baptized it. That was the name it had to be because I felt that I was a maverick all my life. I spent 11 years working with two big multinational PR firms. It was great. I learned a lot. But after 11 years, I wanted to do my own thing. And so that's what a maverick does, is they do their own thing. So that's kind of the genesis of how it happened. So I didn't start out wanting to own my own business, but as...
It happened by accident.
It just happened by accident. So there you go.
Sounds interesting. So Julie, Maverick has catered to many big Canadian companies and names from 1999 to this date. What changes do you see in the working style of Canadian PR companies?
Well, that's a loaded question because we've seen a lot of big changes in the industry, even in the last 10 years. And I think the biggest change has been digital transformation. And with social media, let's face it, every channel is free. You don't need to pay to put great content online. And that's been the biggest change I think we've seen, in the last 5 to 10 years. And so it's changed the way we go to market. It's changed the way brands talk to consumers now, because now we can.
Exactly.
Now brands and companies and people can talk directly to consumers, whereas you never had that before. So as a PR firm, it was always talking to a client, talking to a journalist, and the journalist would then in turn give that message to the consumer. Well, now we're seeing that whole middle, it's very gray. Journalism is still important, but anybody can be a storyteller and anybody connect, and anyone can connect. So I think that's the biggest change right now is the digital side of things.
Very true. So it is extremely commendable for a female to create, build, survive, and then make a bold mark in the industry. However, it's not as simple as it sounds here.
Right.
What has been your biggest mistake as an entrepreneur, and what was your take on it?
My biggest mistake, well, I need a book to fill it in because there was lots of mistakes, and I'm probably going to continue to make mistakes because I'm a student of PR and I've been that way for 30 years. And so I think by not taking risks, then you're not growing and you're not learning. So I think every day, we're always challenging ourselves in this business. But I think one of the biggest, and I don't want to know if it was a mistake or it was more a teachable moment for me, is hiring. I think it's the toughest thing to do in our business. Yeah. I don't make anything. I don't make jackets. I don't make jeans. I don't own a factory. My factory are my people. Yeah. And that's the most important currency is the talent that I hire and that I bring into this organization. When I fail to bring in the right people, I've failed myself. And I think that's been the toughest thing to get over is my expectations are so high, and when they're not met, I feel more of a failure in that respect. So I've learned over the past, especially the last 10 years, is to go with my gut. And I interview people all the time, and I look at their resume, and then I put it away, and then I just have a conversation. And if I feel good about that person, I've usually hired people based on my gut. When I do it with my head, I always make the wrong decision. Okay. So it's something that I've honed into, and it's worked for me well. And when it hasn't, the old saying goes, hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah. Right, very true.
Yes, I've learned the hard way.
So Julie, as per you, what is that one important quality a person needs to have in order to be a great entrepreneur?
That's a good question, because you can say so many different things, but I'll tell you a story where it comes from. It comes from my husband. Mm-hmm. My husband's a great golfer. Okay. I'm an okay golfer, but he's a really good golfer. Mm-hmm. And when he took me out 20 years ago and he was teaching me how to golf, I got very technical with my stance, how to hold the club, what thumb goes over what, positioning of the ball, positioning of my feet. And my husband's looking at me. He's like, oh my Lord. He goes, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm getting ready for the shot. And he just grabbed me and he took me by the shoulders and he turned me over and he said, okay, look, where do you want the ball to go?
Yeah.
I said, well, I'd love it to go 200 yards and land nicely on the fairway. He goes, you have to see where the ball wants to go.
So look at your target.
Look at your target. It was all about vision.
Yeah.
You need to have vision to get to the end result. So if you want to go 200 yards down the fairway and land nicely, you have to know where that ball's going to land.
Sure.
So an entrepreneur has to have, the only thing they need to be successful is to have that vision. Everything will come into place. All that technical stuff will happen. So for Maverick, I knew, I wrote a mission, vision, and purpose statement even before I had my first client. Because that was going to be my guiding principles of this office, of this organization.
Right.
So that vision brought everything into play, and then it all worked out, even down to what coffee I wanted to serve my clients. That's the kind of stuff that I was always thinking about. But vision leads you to your end game.
Sure, very true.
And for me, that was everything.
Perfect. So a strong and successful women entrepreneur on one end and mother of a teenage girl on the other. How does Julie balance her work and personal life? Let's talk about the importance of maintaining a balance in the entrepreneurial life.
Yes, balance is, I get that question a lot, all the time. And balance is relative. It really depends on the person. So someone could be working, 15-hour days and spend 2 hours with their kid. Maybe that's balance for them. So everybody is a little bit different. I became pregnant 2 years into this business. So I had my child very early on. So I birthed Maverick and then I birthed my daughter almost at the same time. So I don't think I had any balance at the beginning. It was 24-hour, 24/7 of, being a mom and being an entrepreneur. But here's what women have to do. And I've heard this saying, women can have it all. Yeah, we can have it all, but not always at the same time. Some things are going to slip, while some things you're going to concentrate on a little bit more.
Sure.
So I had lots of help, okay? I raised my child, but I had help. So I had a nanny, I have a wonderful husband who's a great support, I have mom who's great, his parents are great, brothers, sisters. So I've got this great ecosystem of a family that was there to support me. But when I had a business meeting, my kid didn't come to work with me if she had the cold. She was at home with my nanny because I had a business to run. Mm-hmm. So I really maintained my office hours, and at 6 o'clock, I was home every day. My work didn't come home with me because now it was all about my daughter. It was all about my family. So a lot of people come home and, they're talking to their daughter and they're on their phone, talking to whoever or working on their notebook. And I won't allow myself to do that. So when I go home, I'm Italian Catholic. We have our dinner at 7 o'clock every day. and it's always with the family. And that's how I maintain my balance in life, and really how I maintain sanity, I think, at all times. So separating the two is the best thing I've done.
Yeah, you maintained a great balance, I must say.
It's worked for me, and my kid is really well adjusted, so thank God.
That's nice. So Julie, before we end the show, what advice do you have for upcoming young entrepreneurs of Canada?
Sure. Well, it was a piece of advice that I got years ago, and I'll impart to the future leaders of Canada, is if you want to start your own company, if that's the real thing you want to do, then just like the poker game Texas Hold'em, you got to go all in. You can't be a little bit pregnant, and you can't own a little bit of a company. You've got to go all in to become a successful entrepreneur. And that's what brings drive and ambition and that fire in the belly, is knowing that there's no safety net anymore.
Sure.
So for me, I had to, I mortgaged my house. I took extra line of credit, knowing that everything was riding on Maverick. Yeah. And yes, it kept me up at night, but it made me work really, really hard. So I think anybody who wants to do their own thing, Texas Hold'em, go all in and don't look back.
Perfect. Julie, thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. These words of wisdom will really help the upcoming entrepreneurs to learn from and excel in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So friends, that was Julie from Maverick Public Relations Inc. I'll catch you next time with yet another amazing entrepreneur of Canada. Follow Bay Street Diary, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and listen to our podcast for best Canadian entrepreneurial stories. Until next time, keep spreading love.